Hey everybody, Unstable Gamer here, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be discussing the ultimate farming guide. That is right, we're going to be discussing the teams that I feel need to be worked on right away so that you can take advantage of all the content the game has to offer, including the tower, and we're going to go over that right now. But first, before we do, if you're just now finding this channel and you want to stay up to date with this and other games, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out. All right, and welcome back. All right, like I said, we are going to be discussing the teams that I feel need to be worked on right away to take advantage of all campaign modes, including working through the Tower of Endurance, and we're going to go over each one of them individually. Okay, so first off, infographics, not really my thing right now. Not that I don't want to be able to do something cool like that. I just don't have the skill for that right now, or the time, unfortunately. But you know what? I can manipulate Excel like no other. So this is what I've put together for my farming guide right now. So when we take a look at the teams to start farming and start building up, I've broken them out into 4 teams, and then some ancillary characters that you're going to need for the tower. So first and foremost, your kingdom team. So what I did here, these are the characters. These are the characters that I recommend farming right away and getting them to where you need to get them. Aladdin, Jasmine, Genie, Shan Yu, and Sorcerer Mickey. They make up your kingdom team. They are great by themselves as a team, but they're also very useful because that's what you need. You need the kingdom team for Sally's Potent Potions, which is a new event that just started this week. One that we hadn't seen in beta, but it was something that just started this week. Something very cool. Similar to Scrooge's Money Bin we hadn't seen before, but we've seen that event recently. We'll get to that in a second. And also, Aladdin, Jasmine, and Genie are needed for the Jafar event. So they are useful in multiple different areas, including going to help you out in that tower as well. So the Kingdom team is a team that you want to focus on, along with the Downtown Villains. So my choice for Downtown Villains is Big Bad Wolf, Demona, Dr. Facilier, Syndrome, and Jangles. The only reason why I throw Jangles in there is so that you can have a tank. And one thing that I'll say is when I went through my Downtown Villains and I unlocked Zurg, I didn't even have Jangles. Actually, I unlocked Zurg with Demona and Dr. Facilier. And Dr. Facilier and Big Bad Wolf. Those 3 are the only ones that I actually had, and I was able to unlock Zurg with those ones because you were able to go into that event with just 3 characters out of the 5. So I only had those 3. So these characters here specifically used for Scrooge's Money Bin. So I have my list of events on the side here. So you're good for that. That is a new event. And then Zurg's event down here. Also, Dr. Facilier down here, I believe, is critical for the tower. One thing that I think that you really need is a healer as you're ascending that tower because you're taking so much damage. The damage is persistent. It follows you from one battle to the next. So whenever you can get healing in there, it's always a plus. So those are my Downtown Villains. My starting hero team. So this is the team. These are beginner starting teams. These are teams that I discussed in my beginner's tips guide. If you haven't seen that, I'll go ahead and link that up right over there. But Aladdin, Sully, Ariel, Buzz, and Sorcerer Mickey. Now, Aladdin, again, you need for Sally's Potent Potions, and you need for the Jafar event. Ariel, I think, is critical for the tower, along with Dr. Facilier, because you're going to need that. We'll talk about the tower here in just a little bit. And then Buzz you need for the Bo Peep event, the Toy Story event. And then Sorcerer Mickey, again, needed for Sally's Potent Potions. So I believe those you definitely want to put into. We'll talk about star level and gear level here in just a little bit. The next one is your starting villains team. So Gaston, Yzma, those are 2 that you really start off with. As you can see here, you don't even really use them for anything, along with Sully. They're not needed for any events right now. So I don't have anything checked off right there. So those are ones that you definitely want to replace as soon as possible. So like for me, for the starting heroes team, Sully, I would replace with Jasmine as soon as I was able to. Over here, starting villains team, I would replace Gaston with Mordu as soon as you're able to for your villain team to work on through that. Yzma is in there just because she's a healer. You have Demona, Syndrome, and Big Bad Wolf. Now, they are needed for Scrooge's Money Bin as well as for the Zurg event, similar to what you see over here. So again, just starting teams that I think that are good starting point as you work your way through the campaigns. As far as the farming method, so I have that down here. different farming methods. So you can see if you follow Aladdin down, he is available at 2A Elite for the Villains campaign, Jasmine. So you can see where you can farm each one of these. Now, when it comes to the tournament exchange and the club exchange, I've made these cells here red, and the reason for that is because those you want to wait till later. The priority when it comes to your tournament exchange, we've discussed this before, is Shan Yu, and then Mordu, and then Hades. You can see that down here. We'll discuss the affinities for the tower here in just a minute too. As far as club exchange goes, priorities there are going to be Mickey, Demona, Syndrome, and that's it. These other ones, they're available there. You can farm them there, but again, it's something that you don't really want to do until later on in the game when you've maxed out these characters. All right, so with that, that takes us down here to the affinities for the tower. Now, when you go through the tower, you have specific teams that you need. You need a kingdom team, so that's why we want to farm this kingdom team is to work through that tower as well. You need a downtown villains team to work through the tower as well. You can use that downtown villain team. I believe there's 3 specific towers that you're going to be able to use that team in specifically. So it's definitely going to be a plus. Once you get to that 5th tower, it becomes a little bit more difficult where it uses all affinities and you're going to be mixing and matching your teams. So when it comes to that, here are all of your base teams. Now you have Wilds, Oceanic, and Mythical. Through that tower, you're going to need at least 2 Wilds. One of them obviously is going to be Mordu. You're already working on Mordu, or should be, out of the tournament exchange. Next is going to be Merida, next best character in there. She's got some nice adjacent damage. She does some decent damage there. So those are the 2 that I recommend when you're working through that on the Wilds side. Now, Oceanic, you're already working on one, which is Ariel over here. That's why I ever tagged here as the tower. So you have Ariel, and then I would suggest Jack Sparrow for that. And then as far as Mythical goes, Hades, obviously right off the bat, and then Jack Skellington. Now, there are some other mythical characters that you can use, like Manticore. Manticore is really best with the Onward team, and I mean, you could use her in this, but I really wanted this list to be something that you could use that all characters are readily farmable, so you can start working through more to the end game type stuff. So, for instance, if we take a look at downtown villains, you have Zerg, who's a downtown villain. You can use Zerg for that event, his own event. However, since he's more of an end game type character, as far as he's an end result for an event, I didn't add him in here specifically. So this really is to help create a foundation of characters that you can build into and feel comfortable investing in order to get through your Heroes and Villains campaign, your grand campaign, your grand arena campaign. I don't know why I always mess up on that name. As well as going through your Towers of Endurance and then setting you up nicely for a PvP team as well. One team that I'm currently playing around with as far as a PvP team uses characters within this list too. So like Shan Yu. So it's Shan Yu, Aladdin, Jasmine, Mordu, and Big Bad Wolf. Currently playing around with that team configuration. And then right as it shows down here too, where you can farm those characters as well. Now, depending on where you are in the game, if you're really early on or if you're mid game or even end game, this can be very useful for you just to kind of pick and choose where you are. Depending on where you are in the game is going to determine how you're going to use this list here specifically to help you kind of get further along in that game. Now, eventually I'll come out with a end game farming guide, but I really wanted this to be, again, a foundational one really for the early to mid game player right now to start building up on this. But again, all of these characters in here as well, except Sully, Gaston, Yzma. Those are characters that I wouldn't technically take up to 5-star or 7-star, I mean. So when it comes to these characters, my general suggestion is take the characters that you're currently focusing on, not every single one in your roster, but the teams that you're focusing on, start them out at 5-star and gear tier 5. Now, I have talked to some people that believe that Gear Tier 5 may be a little more expensive on the resource side, which it can be. If you can't do that, then just dial that down a notch to Gear Tier 4. That's going to give you a solid base. But all these characters here, Aladdin, Jasmine, Genie, Shen Yu, Sorcerer, Mickey, I would take them all to 7-star. Big Bad Wolf, Demona, Dr. Facilier, Syndrome, 7-star. Once you get up to that point. Jangles, no. I really wouldn't. He's useful early on. Sully, no, not until you've gotten your team to where you want them and you're just kind of, filling out your roster, starring up your roster, gearing up your roster, things like that for what may come. Maybe Sully is going to be used for a Monster Inc. event later on. That's why I always recommend the 5-star. Because typically when it comes to events, in order to unlock legendaries or event characters, things like that, they typically use a similar format of 5-star. You get a character up to 5-star, you should be able to unlock that character. That's why it's a safe zone. As far as your gear tiers and everything, it's just nice to get them up to 5, but again, if it's too expensive for you, dial that down to Gear Tier 4, and you should be okay. But solely could be used for Monsters Inc. event later on down the road. Gaston, I really think Gaston's probably going to be used for a Beast, what? Beauty and the Beast event, possibly. Yzma, I don't know about her right now. I don't know about her right now. But anyway, so this is what I suggest. Here's my suggestions for you. I'd really be interested to hear your thoughts on how this fits into what you're currently doing in the game right now. Hopefully this is helpful to you and helps you, especially into your mid and late game, because I think truly a lot of these characters here are pretty meta for the most part, and I think they're going to do you well. So again, very interested to hear your thoughts, suggestions, and your ideas. Definitely leave them in the comment section below. All right, everybody. As always, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.